and I go ahead and plug it in, and that is a big mistake. I notice after a few minutes of plugging it in, there's basically no airflow coming out of here, and so it's not really doing anything. And I think, wow, this is the sorriest thing I've ever seen. And then I did something that most men never do, and it's actually... Hey folks, welcome back to Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Burrell. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my full review of the Greenote True HEPA filtration system, whether or not it's actually worth it. And as I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago, I'm going to be giving one of these away, but I wanted to help you decide if you either wanted to purchase this, or even if I gave it away, if something just takes up space and it doesn't really work, it's not even worth it then. So I'm going to be telling you if you really want to receive this, or maybe you want to purchase it. I've been using it for about 3 weeks now, so I think I can give you a pretty balanced opinion on that. But let's put the box away right over there, and let's get ready to look at the product itself. Now, I got the product itself sitting here with me on my desk. A few things you need to know about it before we begin. Number one, this is not intended as a whole house type of filter, okay? This is a room by room thing. As a matter of fact, as my family and I have been struggling over the last few weeks with allergies, just the typical stuff that comes with fall, we've actually been moving this from room to room. It's been with us when we're in the living room. If we're going to be in the living room for several hours together as a family, we'll put it in there. I've moved it into the studio here for several hours, as I generally work here most all day, and I put it in the children's room, just different places. I moved it around the house, and we've used the functionality of it as best we could, because we thought, hey, if we can get some of the dust and dander and stuff like that out of the air, maybe minimize those allergies, it would help us out. And I think it actually has, and I'll tell you more about that later. But first and foremost, I want to talk to you a little bit about the fit and function of it. One of the things you need to be doing most importantly when you unbox the product from the beginning. So let's move over to the product right here, and I'll let you take a look at it. I basically have it sitting here on my desk. The product itself, when it first comes out of the box, there's one major thing that you need to pay attention to, and that is, first out of the box, you obviously take the plastic that you'll find on it off of the outside. But my initial reaction was, well, I jump it out of the box. You know, I want to see it work. I want to see what it's like, and I go ahead and plug it in, and that is a big mistake. I notice after a few minutes of plugging it in, there's basically no airflow coming out of here, and so it's not really doing anything. And I think, wow, this is the sorriest thing I've ever seen. And then I did something that most men never do, and is actually read the instructions, and I saw plainly stamped right on top of the whole thing, you know, the face of the instructions. The first thing you need to do is not plug it in, not try it out, but actually turn it over on the upside down part, which I've done right here. You actually need to go ahead and turn that over and take the base off, which this is how you change the filters, pull the filters out for cleaning or replacement, whatever. But you need to go ahead and open this up. It's very easy to open. As a matter of fact, without even touching, I could almost do it, but I have to hold it down just a little bit. Go ahead and rotate that counterclockwise, pop this off, and that's how you gain access to the filter itself. Now, as far as the filter itself, you'll probably see this is a pretty sizable filter up against my head right here. Pretty sizable filter, good size, very thick, very well built, very sturdy as far as the way it feels in the hand. I think it's actually a nice filter. Now, they say that it has 3 layers of filtration. The first layer, just kind of an initial layer right here that holds, you know, generally just catches most of the dust. The next layer in is the most important. That is the HEPA filter itself. And then on the inside here, there's actually a carbon filter. So this works with dust and, you know, dirt and grime and pollens and whatever that may be in the air in your home, whatever. But it also works with helping out with smells, particularly in the kitchen. If you're like I am, sometimes you get in there and you go to cook that big cheeseburger fried on the stovetop, or sausage, bacon, and although that smells great when you're doing it, doesn't smell that great a few hours later. This helps with that. So anyway, first thing you need to do when you go to get ready for this, take the bottom off right here. As I said, pull the bottom, pull the filter out, because it will be wrapped in plastic completely, the filter itself, and you have to take that plastic off before you begin. But once I read the instructions and saw that, very easy. There's really nothing to put in this in. It just kind of sits in there. There's some seals that go around the top and the bottom, some foam seals, kind of seals it off right there. Take the lid, turn it, put it back on, turn it about a quarter turn clockwise, and you're ready to go. That is it. Now, turning it back over just to let you look at it, there's really nothing particularly special about this. What happens is there's air drawn in through the bottom. It comes up, a fan draws it in, it comes up through the bottom, goes up and around, and is pulled through the filter itself toward the middle and then brought back up out of the top. That's how it works. I assume that's probably how all air purifiers work to some extent, but this one draws air in from the bottom, brings it up, puts it out the top, lickety split, that is it. Now, as far as the control itself, I go ahead and get ready. It did have a small power adapter with it. You can see it right here. It did have a small power adapter with it. Just basically that plugs into the back right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Basically plug that in and you're ready to go. Now, when you plug it in initially, let me try to get that centered. When you plug it in initially and get ready to turn it on, it's basically going to bring itself up here on the lowest setting, or maybe on a medium setting, whatever. But the power button itself, and I'll try to get to it here a little bit better, the power button itself is right here in the middle. It is a touch screen. It's very faint, but it does light itself up when you push the power button. That's obviously on and off. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to know about that. And then there are 3 settings, low, medium, and high, each of which can be accessed by touching right over here to where you'll see a fan itself. Let me see if I can touch it. Oh, I got it powered on. Sorry. There you see the fan logo, and you can adjust it from low to medium to high. So you'll see it lighting up right here as an indicator whether or not you're on low, medium, high. Now, right now it's on the highest setting, so if you can already start hearing that fan motor roaring, I apologize for that. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But basically your low, medium, and high settings, as well as they've got a setting right over here that is basically your sleep mode. When you put it into sleep mode, it's going to be less effective, obviously, because the fan itself is not turning as fast. You know, there's not as many RPMs, but it's going to be much, much quieter when you put it into sleep mode. And that's intended, sorry, I bumped something there, but that is intended, the sleep mode at least, is intended to be used while you're sleeping. So that if you're a person that doesn't like the roaring of a fan or that white noise in the background, you won't be bothered by that. There also, not only is there low, medium, high, and sleep mode, there's also, in addition to that, there are timers here, 2, 4, and 8 hours. So if you want to just kind of set this up and have it only run for a couple of 4 hours when you first go to bed, that's fine. If you wanted to turn off some point during the day, maybe you want to set this up in the morning, let it run for a few hours while you leave out for work, and then turn itself off so you're not just constantly running something that you're not using, you can do that. Now, as far as me and the way we used it personally, we pretty much sat it in whatever room we're in and let it run all day. We just let it do its thing is the way we handled that. But nonetheless, we do have that. Now, they promise on their website that this filters out. Let me see if I can pull that up. They promise on their website that this filters out, quote, 99.97% of pet dander, cooking smells, smoke, and such as that. I cannot in any way, there's no way for me to determine or to tell you if that happens. I'm assuming that it happens at least to an extent, but I can't tell you for sure that happens because I don't have a lab. I can't measure it. So what I had to think about was, Jim, use this thing for 3 or 4 weeks, go back in it without messing with it at all. Go back in it, open it up, look at the filter and see if it caught anything at all. That was the way I had to kind of judge this. In addition to that, again, we were dealing with some allergies, and I wanted to see if that improved that, if that could really help me to see that. I think it did, actually. I think it really did to an extent, but you've got to determine if it's something that you're really wanting to deal with. So first thing that I would see is a pro and or a con. A pro, and that is it is relatively, I'm doing the quotes here, it is relatively quiet. Okay, now they claim on their website that this thing is quiet down to, I think it's 22 dB. So we go back over to the machine. They claim it is as quiet as 22 dBs. Is that actually true? Well, I would say not quite. I think they're fudging on that just a little bit. I think that they're, cutting a little bit of a corner there. I don't think it's exactly 22 dB quiet. And the way I can determine that is when I put it on its lowest setting, which is the sleep mode right here. When it is in sleep mode, there, I got it in sleep mode right now. When it is in sleep mode, I just got a dB reading app on my iPhone. When it is in sleep mode, even though it's said to be 22 dB, I'm going to let you look at them, pull up on the screen here. It's actually a little bit louder than that. Now, I've got to be very quiet so it can measure just the noise. So just hold on right here. Sound hadn't gone out. Just listen. Here's what it's supposed to be, 22 dB. Okay, so about the lowest I'm getting is 32, 33 on the sleep mode. Is that an argument that can be made that, hey, it's not as quiet as I claimed? Yeah, it's an argument that can be made, but 32 dB sitting across the room from you, probably not going to be laying in the bed up against your head. 32 dB sitting across the room from you is no big deal whatsoever. So 32 dB, now that is on the sleep mode. Let's move it over to the low if I can get it there. Okay, right there is the low setting. So I'm going to be quiet again, let you listen to the low setting. Okay, so the low setting's measuring about 35, 36. So 35, 36 on the low setting, not a lot of difference to sleep mode right there. So I would probably recommend using low as opposed to sleep mode just because you get a little bit more fan speed, a little bit more filtration there without really sacrificing any sound or any increase in sound. So on that's the low. Now let's move it up to the medium. And of course, I'll be quiet as soon as it takes it a moment to wind up to its next speed, so I'll be real quiet right now. Okay, medium obviously going to be hovering between 44 and 45-ish. And so, about another 10 dB louder than the low. So we got low, we got medium. Let's go to high, and I'll be real quiet. Okay, so there you have it. The high runs between 56 and 57. I'm going to turn that off for a minute. The high runs between 56 and 57. Now, obviously, 56 to 57 dB is not at all dangerous to your ears, not going to harm anything. But if you're one of those people who like to sleep in total silence, that may not work out for you. That may be too loud. Now, personally, when we're in my house in the winter, we're running some type of little small space heater, which sounds very similar to this, by the way, or we're running a fan. And a lot of times we're running the fan in the summertime, not because we're necessarily hot, we've got central heat and air, but we're running it because we do like the white noise. We do like the sound, and this obviously can supply that at 57 dBs. That's going to be pretty good. But again, keep in mind, even if that highest setting, 57 dBs across the room or maybe in the next room, it's probably not going to bother you at all. So I think overall, as far as the sound goes, they claim that it goes between 22 and 49. It doesn't go down to 22, and it does go over 49. That's my measurements here. Very unscientific. I'm not in an absolute quiet room lab like maybe they tested theirs. I don't know. But it doesn't necessarily do that. But it does, however, stay in the range, okay? So it's actually pretty quiet. The size-wise, and I'll turn back over to it here, size-wise, I can't show you too much of it, other than it's not very big. It's actually a good size. It's lightweight, and you can pick it up. I can even pick it up. I can palm it, pick it up with my hand. So it's very nice size. As far as its effectiveness, and this is where we really need to get down toward the end of this, where I would say the rubber kind of meets the road as far as effectiveness. The only way I had to test the effectiveness of it, and I'll unplug it to do this, was basically turning it over after about 3 weeks, turning it over, opening up the bottom right here, and pulling the filter to see if there's anything there, okay, to see if there's anything there. So when I pulled this filter to begin with, I probably thought it would be, covered like my filter in my car is. I thought it'd be covered in leaves and dust and obvious things be caught up in here. It's not like that. I also thought maybe it'd be like my central air filter, there in the air return. I thought it would be more like that, where it'd just be, a layer of dust, very thick that you could see. You got to get that thing out of the house and change it as we do on a monthly basis. But it wasn't like that either. This is a lot smaller unit, so it's not like that. However, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is a pretty good, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can probably start to see that now. there is a pretty good layer of dust and lint that has been pulled into this. And of course, it is completely encapsulated in that, like you're pulling the dryer vent or something like that. Nothing on the inside there, so it definitely filtered as it should. It caught it all on the outside, the best I can tell. But certainly, it caught some dust. It did what it's supposed to do. They claim this will treat or work in about a 430 square foot space. Probably all of the rooms, save the living room that I have, is smaller than that. So I think it worked well for all of those. Took it in the kitchen one night when I was cooking, and I knew that there would be some cooking smells and such as that. And instead of turning on the vent hood, as I usually would to pull some of that out of the house or whatever, I just pretty much left this sitting on the counter and went about my business. And I'll tell you what, within just a few minutes, I went back in and it was completely undetectable what I had cooked, even though some of those pots and pans were still laying there. I'd not yet washed those. So I think it makes a difference. So I think it's a good air filter. I think it's probably, it met my expectations for sure. Do I think it's one worth buying? Yes, I do. I really do. Now, when they first told me about this, they first reached out and said, Jim, we want to send you this air filter. We want you to take a look at it. Want you to see if you would like to do a review on it. Again, there was no obligation to do that. But when they first sent it over, I think, my expectation was, hey, we'll see what it's like, see what it works out like. And they told me then it would be about $100 air filter. So I was glad. Hey, if somebody wants to give me $100 product for free and I have no obligation, I'll take it. When I went ahead to get on Amazon to get ready to do this video a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't find the product available on Amazon like they said it would be. Not exactly certain exactly why that was. They did give me an explanation, sent me some emails. I won't share that with you, but they did go ahead and tell me that it would be back live soon. When it popped back up as of yesterday, they sent me an email, said, hey, back on Amazon, ready for you. If you want to do a review, here's your link you can use to share with people so they might make a purchase if they choose. It was, I think, $69. So to come down from 100, what they said, to 69, sounds good to me. And then today, I sat down to do the review itself, pulled up the website right here today, and it says it is $59. I can't see over there. It's $59.89 today. So the price is going to fluctuate. Obviously, that's just the nature of Amazon. Prices go up, prices go down. But overall, for $59, I think the Greenote air purifier is going to be a pretty good buy. As far as filters themselves, I know some of you are going to ask, they do sell replacement filters for this. The replacement filters are about $25, it looks like. So kind of like buying a printer. Sometimes the ink costs as much as a printer. This is not as much as that. $70, $100 filter system. The filters themselves are about $25. But for me, even though there's a little bit of this, hold it up. There's a little bit of this lint, dusty stuff on there. I'm probably just going to wipe it off and go on. So I don't know how long I'm going to run on this filter. Probably until I can't go any farther, I guess. I'm going to let this ride out. It's been about 3 weeks. I'm probably going to let it go another month and see what it looks like then. Maybe I'll come back and add some review to this, but I think I can get a month or two out of the filters and then maybe get a new one, so that's that. But I think it's a pretty good product. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you would like to go ahead and check it out yourself over on Amazon. I think it'd make a good gift, particularly for us as a transplant patient. We're kind of sensitive to some of these things. And this season, being the fall season that it is, at least for us here, a lot of dust and pollen floating around, a lot of stuffy noses and headaches and stuff coming up. Maybe this helped, and it has helped us to stay clear from that. So hope this helped you out a little bit. I know it's been a lot longer review than I expected, I guess, but I think it's worth recommending. And by the way, I will be giving away one of these. I probably will not give you this one, obviously because it's used for one, but also my daughter wrote her name right here with a marker. I didn't find that till I went back in to get it this morning, but to prove I've been using it, E-L-L-A. Ella wrote her name right here with a marker. So this one has definitely been used for a minute or two, but I think it's a great product. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.